Hello, Collateral Gaming listeners. Chazzle Dazzle here from the Trial by Air Variety Show podcast. I just wanted to take a few seconds to invite you guys over to what we do. No, it's not video games, but we do invite really awesome and unique bands from all over the world. We dig deep into their souls and find really cool stories to tell you, and there's tons of music every week, so subscribe to us wherever you subscribe to your podcast. We look forward to having you.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And I'm Megan Gomez.
This is Collateral Gaming.
Welcome back to Collateral Gaming, the only gaming podcast that matters, where we talk about good games, bad games, and of course everything in between. I am joined here in some place in Texas by Ashley Chancellor. And what are we talking about today, buddy?
We are talking about Beyond Two Souls. Actually, this is going to be another two-part episode. This is our season finale of Collateral Gaming Season 3.
Whoop, whoop.
Super excited about it. Not only are we talking about Beyond Two Souls this episode, but we're going to be talking about Heavy Rain next episode. And I even have a little kind of bonus round episode planned for Detroit Become Human, because I got all three of those games together, and I kind of want to talk about all of them. But before we get into that, how has Collateral Gaming Season 3 been? I mean, what were some of your favorite episodes?
Oh God. All of them. I mean, I haven't been on as many this year as I would have liked to have been, just because, I did have a family member that passed away earlier this year. But of course, our season opener, Majora's Mask. We did get to do that little mini bonus round on Mass Effect. Of course, that's going to be one of my favorites. I was not on it, but I was really excited for y'all to do Last of Us 2. Y'all did a great job on that one. Of course, I listened to episodes that I'm not on. And then, of course, Skyrim. I had to end it with that because, come on, girl. Come on. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. Ghost of Tsushima. One of my
Ooh.
favorite video games of all time now. Majora's Mask, obviously my favorite Zelda game. Let's see, we talked about Resident Evil Village. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Oh,
Last of
yeah.
Us Part 2, like you said. A lot of really, really, really great episodes this season. I've been having a blast. Of course, we did even do a bad game review, which was Sonic 06. That was an absolute shit show.
Oh God. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that one was super dope though. I love being able to do the bad episodes, just because they're so much fun just to talk so much shit about a game, and we're always just talking so positively about games. We're like, oh yeah, the gameplay is great, the soundtrack is just chef's kiss, and then we're like, man, fuck this game. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just it's really great to harp on something, and I definitely want to do more bad games. In fact, I think next season we have actually 2 bad game reviews planned, which is good because I think we need more of them. We talk about how we do the good games, the bad games, and everything in between. So Dead Space with your brother was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking about Dead Space
Yeah.
and Dead Space 2.
Yes.
We did a couple of game launch episodes. Spider-Man Miles Morales and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity were fantastic. Really loved talking about them. And of course, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Metroid Fusion. Yes, it was great to finally talk about Metroid again.
God, we've been through so many good games this year. I'm just like, oh my God. I had to look back through our itinerary because I'm like, is that this season? Oh my God, that was this season.
And we did that huge Mortal Kombat event with Collateral Cinema collab thing. That's something I kind of want to make a regular thing.
Yes.
Is for us to kind of collab more on video game movies and movie video games, both. So
I love when the two cross because it's something that's never really expected. So it's it ends up becoming something really, really cool.
Yeah. So good or bad. And of course, we have a lot planned for next season. Just wait until the end of this episode for us to tell you about it. Any news that's worth talking about?
Not that I can think of right now. The only one is just one that we talked about before the episode. I'm sorry, my husband is trying to distract me in the background, y'all. um, we did finally get an announcement instead of just quarter 1 for Horizon. We are going to get that in February. So we'll see. I might be able to convince Ash to talk about that one. It'll take me a lot of bargain chipping, but we'll see how I do.
No, actually, Horizon was planned for this season, and we ended
Yeah.
up thinking, I kind of want to wait for Forbidden West to come out. So, hint, hint, wink, wink. Also, PlayStation Showcase.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay, first off, Spider-Man 2. Insomniac is doing a Wolverine game now. Also, we got the Coda remake, and of course, God of War Ragnarok.
Yes!
So fucking stoked. Like, I cannot even stress how excited I am about all of those. Fantastic job, Sony. I definitely have to get a PS5 now, and I'm actually happy that they are going with some PlayStation 5 exclusives finally, because I really want to see them use the full capacity of the console. And if you make a game, compatible with the past generation, I mean, that's great. It allows more people to play it, but you're not taking advantage of the console specs. And I want to see that. I want to see what the PS5 is capable of.
Yeah. Well, also, I do appreciate Sony for giving us this transition period with some games, especially some of these exclusives. It's like, hey, we know that things have been tough because of the pandemic.
Consoles being out of stock, not to mention.
Yeah, well, plus consoles being out of stock too. Let's give you a grace period. Let's give you the great compatibility that we can do with PS4 without sacrificing, the need to get a PS5 to play this amazing game. So thank you for that, Sony, because I've been in that boat because my PS4 is about ready to hit the grave. And I'm getting ready to I don't know. I still haven't decided if I want to do Xbox or PlayStation because I know I want to build Alan a PC. That's definitely in my next year goal. But like I can't decide if I want to do because I've played all of them now, so I'm just like I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is that Alan is very spoiled.
I am tempted to pick up an Xbox Series S, especially when I found out about how expensive Game Pass was. And I'm not a huge fan of Microsoft, but they really are doing their shit well on the Xbox side of things. The fact that you have an entire library of games that are shared between PC and Xbox is actually great. And the Xbox Series S, I mean, is a reasonable price. It's $300, about as much as it costs to get my Switch. And I mean, it's the same price as a Switch, and they're actually in stock. I'm kind of inclined to just do that, convert my 360 library. But at the same time, I mean, I have to get that PS5 because those exclusives are coming out. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's right now it's like the lesser of two evils, but monetary version.
Right. So that's definitely going on in my thought process. Anything else to touch on before we conclude our Collateral Gaming news segment?
I don't think so. There hasn't really been a lot of news since E3. Just besides like some basic updates with some major games. I know that there's been talks of further development with like Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, of course, the PlayStation, I almost said PlayStation exclusive. My God, it's PlayStation Showcase. And other than that, I haven't really heard anything from Xbox, but they usually announce bigger stuff around the holiday season. That's kind of their thing. So I guess we'll kind of wait and see what happens next season for that. This is our last news segment for this season.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, so Collateral Gaming Season 3 has been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff going on in the world, and we're excited to be a part of it. Also, I guess kind of a personal news edition, if I may add it real quick. Zach came down, and
Yes!
Zach and I hung out. We got to meet in person for the first time. It was great. We were planning to all get together and maybe even try to record something, but unfortunately that didn't work out. But for the time that we had him, Zach and I had a blast. And brother, if you're listening to this right now, I love you, man. Had such a great time with you, and I can't wait to see you again in January, February.
I can't wait to finally meet him. I envy you because we were all getting ready. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go get some beers, just go hang out. Yeah, no, it didn't end up happening. He had to go do something with his family or something. So Zach, I hope I get to meet you soon in person. It hurts my one feeling.
Yeah. Oh well, and yeah, my best friend Abigail was supposed to be on this episode, or she wanted to be on it, but unfortunately didn't get to make it because we've all got life and shit going on right now. But we're here, we're finally recording it a little bit late. Without further ado, let's talk about Beyond Two Souls.
Ah, yes, good, good, good. Oh man, so I was the one that picked this game for the season, just because I really, really wanted to talk about a game that was very fundamental for me as a gamer, and I don't know why, but I feel like this game was better when I was younger, and I don't know if it's just because I played so many more like blockbuster hits since, but like I feel like this game was a little bit better when I was younger. So this game now, as for me as a developed gamer, is a little bit more meh for me, but I definitely want to know what your input is
Okay,
for
well,
sure.
I loved it. I mean, I thought it was great. I felt like the game was technically very impressive.
Hmm.
As a PS yeah, as a PS3 game. I mean, I realized it originally came out on the PS3, so I kind of judged it at those standards. I got, I guess, kind of the HD upskilled version, if it was upskilled at all. I don't know. I mean, the graphics actually look pretty good to me for a PS3 title, um, but and I definitely I like the type of game that this is. Very like a Telltale type game, or even more so like Until Dawn. I would say actually,
Hmm.
kind of more interactive drama more so than it is video game. And I actually enjoy games like this. They are very relaxing, in the sense of, you're kind of just playing a movie. So you definitely have that
Yeah.
more cinematic experience in that respect. I thought the portrayals by Elliot Page and Willem Dafoe were great. Fantastic actors. I love them and everything that they're in. Umbrella Academy season 3 is coming up, and I'm really excited about that.
Yes. Yes, I love 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 Elliot Page and everything that they've been in, as well as Willem Dafoe. I mean, that man can't go wrong with a lot of the roles that he's played. So I'm just, and when I first initially saw this game, I saw that it was these two, and I've seen them in other things, and I was just like, no way, like them in a video game together.
Godspeed, Spider-Man.
I watched the behind the scenes that they did. Um, Talking about how, like Elliot's talking about how he's doing, mocap and everything. And Willem Dafoe is like, I've never done shit like this, but it's dope. And like, it's just so cool. And it's such an interesting game to talk about in general because it was like during that time era when celebrities were trying to get into video games, but a lot of them weren't successful at it. And these two managed to kind of knock it out the park. So,
They honestly did. Comparing this to Heavy Rain, which is the other video game that we're doing, and we'll talk about it next
ugh.
part. But I do feel like the
Jason.
acting, Jason, yeah, the acting is a lot better. Case in point, right
Yes.
there. Um, he knows what I'm talking about. That was Bo.
Hi, Bo.
Fucking yeah. So the acting is a lot better. I think the writing is a little bit better. And I think overall the game appears to have a better quality to it. The game definitely looks and sounds a lot better. So I will say that. And with the motion capture performances through these just incredible actors, I think really shines through.
Yes, yeah, and Quantic Dream really, really knocked it out the park with this one. I mean, I haven't played Detroit Become Human, but I've heard good things about it.
I
But
like
this
that
game
one the best out of these three. I'm
really,
gonna say it is
you can
so
you can kind
good.
of see it trending up through time, as they kind of become more comfortable as a developer. And this game really just kind of it brings its own light. There's just a lot of things that I did enjoy about this game. For one, I love the fact that Jodie is a complicated protagonist, and she's not just the type of woman. I don't know if anybody's heard this speech, but Reese Witherspoon talks about it a lot of times for women when they're in this catastrophic moment. It's like, what do? You go to a woman for help when there's a catastrophe, especially children. And in all of these movies and games and things, it's like the women are like, what do we do now? And this character Jodie just is not like that, and I love that. She's like, we're gonna figure it out, like you need to balls up and man up, or I'm gonna be the man for you. And I love that. I love that there's a dynamic, complicated female lead for once, and I really really resonated with this game because of that. And it really really helped me kind of become my own badass in my own way. It's like I don't need someone else to do this for me. I can do it myself. I can figure this out. I got this.
I don't even know, man.
Yeah, let me do the Z snap.
No, very complicated character, a very strong character. Really enjoyed Jodie quite a bit, and I love how her personality is even somewhat tailored by the player. Um, specifically even experiences in her life. I think one thing that does happen that was exclusive to the PS4 remaster was that depending on how you acted at the party earlier on in the game,
Mhm.
whether you're playing new or remixed, it is earlier on within the story. But whether you decided to torment the kids or whether you decided to leave quietly, I tormented the kids because fuck them kids. Um,
Man, fuck them kids.
yeah, actually determines how she dresses later during the rebellious
Yes.
teenage phase. So she's still kind of a rebellious teenager and still pretty much acts the same, but her style's a lot different. She's got this very like punk goth appearance, which is totally cool. Loved it. Whereas she's dressed a little bit more conservatively if you decided to leave the kids alone. So of course my Jodie was rocking out. I did manage to get to the bar, and one thing in particular about that particular point in the story, and I guess slight trigger warning here for anyone that has been through or sensitive with sexual assault type experiences, but there is a moment in the game where she can go through that depending on what actions that you picked, because it's possible to avoid the bar entirely, it's possible to leave it early, and you can and at one point she does get assaulted, and it's a very, very sensitive emotional thing, but it's a very raw thing, and I'm glad that it's there because it talks about an experience that can really shift a character's personality. And so that's a specific type of trauma that she goes through, and I mean that can significantly alter the character. In fact, later on there's a moment in the story where she can or can't become intimate with Ryan later, and
Mhm.
if she was sexually assaulted, then she's not going to be able to go through with that experience, and so you're not able to have an intimate night with Ryan during that part of the story because of that experience. So I just think that that's very interesting that you can shift the character's personality so much. But even
Yeah.
so, I mean, Jodie does have kind of her own personality that's just somewhat steered by the player. You know what I mean?
Yes. Also, I did just want to bring this up in the podcast because we were talking about this earlier. In this instance, we are referring to Elliot as she because this is the character that they are portraying. So we just wanted to
Yeah.
let everybody know that.
The character is a she. Elliot Page is a he. So,
Yes.
or a they.
Yes.
Those are
They.
his
Their
or their
pronouns.
preferred pronouns. We're gonna use that
Yeah.
out of respect for
For their transition. Anyways. Yeah, I love that there's just so much you can change about Jodie's character. She can be as badass as you want her to be, or she can be, as sensitive as you want her to be. And also it does kind of come in a level plane with Aiden, because the way that you use Aiden can also alter the way that Jodie's going to be. Like for instance, you said like at the party, like you use Aiden to your advantage and you let him take too much control, he ends up altering you. So it's like this kind of braided personality that a lot of other people aren't aware of, because a lot of people aren't aware of Aiden. So there's a lot of interesting, enjoyable things about just the whole experience of the game, and that's why I really wanted to talk about this one, because it's very complex. Of course, every game has its pros and its cons. This one it's aged, and there's some parts where it didn't age well. For me personally. And I feel like, like I prefaced earlier, there are some games that have come to, make this one go lower on my list just because of their cinematic and just overall gameplay experience. But there's something that it really intrigues me about Jodie and her dynamic, and Aiden and their dynamic together. And how, it's a choose your own kind of like a book, where you choose your own ending,
choose
things
your
that
own
you choose.
adventure.
Yeah, choose your own adventure. Thank you. But it's still a very cinematic, dramatic experience, which is something that you don't get. A lot of games, it's linear. It's like you do this and this and this and this. There are some choices that you can make. Maybe like a Mass Effect or Skyrim. Things like that. But it's always linear. There's always one ending. With Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, there's multiple endings. There's multiple ways that this can go. Your Jodie can be whoever you want her to be, essentially, within a range. It's not like Heavy Rain with 17 different endings, which I think makes this game shine a little bit more, because it's not just like random off the wire left field shit that creates ending number 3, but whatever.
Yeah, and characters can actually die as a result of Jodie's actions. So
Yes.
some parts of the game, of course, are altered, but I think overall, I think the 5 different endings you get pretty much all can be determined by that final chapter. I love how also the game, the original order. There is, of course, a remaxed order that puts it in mostly chronological order, but the game is actually told in kind of a segmented order. So it's a very interesting narrative style where things are just all out of order. Things are completely jumbled up, and it's explained, in the prologue and in the epilogue, as the fact that Jodie can no longer keep her memories together and she's seeing things out of order. She literally talks about that. So that's why you're experiencing all of these memories just completely out of order. But it's so interesting. It does make it hard to keep track of what's going on and, kind of, okay, where was this in relation to this? But, I mean, it kind of also just adds this completely other dimension to the storytelling,
Because it's not like I just said, it's not a linear experience. One moment you're a young kid in a hospital, the next you're in a red dress trying to figure out the way to a safe with Iden. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, hold on, hold up, what?
Hold
And
the
I
phone.
love that. I love that.
Yeah. I did actually start replaying the game again in the remixed order, which tells it in mostly chronological order, which is nice, because I think after you've played through the game once, it's nice to go back and kind of actually see things in full context and also make different choices, so you can kind of try to
Yes.
everything out. Because in this game, I made definitely some decisions. I said, fuck Ryan, I don't like that guy. Jay, hey, I like this dude. Yeah, fuck Ryan. I didn't bang him. I let Iden. Like I told Iden didn't fuck it up for her. I respected her privacy, but when it came to, I was like, no, fuck you, dude. You're a douche. I don't like you. I'm not gonna bang you. But Jay, man, that guy's so cool. The Navajo chapter, I think, just over like. I think that's just my favorite chapter in the game, actually.
That's my favorite chapter personally. I love the Navajo chapter, not just because of the game itself, but just because we get to talk about the Navajo. Like I have a really I love Indigenous people. I love a lot. I love just talking
Yeah.
about them. They're great. They're great. I love so many Indigenous people. Anyways, that chapter in its own is one of the things that like I wish that Quantic Dream would just draw more on, is their ability to tell a story like that in one chapter that could be its own game itself. And that's, I think, where Heavy Rain kind of hits at a nail. I know we're going to talk about it more, so I kind of want to tie the two together. There's too many ways to tell their story. This one, they kind of reel it in a little bit, and they're like, okay, we know that we can make a dynamic story. We know that we can, punch you in the face with our and in the gut with how we deal with things. Let's reel it in and see what more we can give, what more we can bring to the table. Let's give you an entire chapter and make you bawl your eyes out. Thanks,
Yeah.
Quantic Dream. I appreciate that. I didn't need that at 3 o'clock in the morning because I've been playing this game for 6 hours. I appreciate it.
And they definitely went for a direction of kind of immersing you in the game a little bit more so than in Heavy Rain and even Detroit Become Human. Because I noticed how in this game, rather than show you the directions, for instance, that you should swipe using the right analog stick, it actually just kind of has these dots that you just kind of in the direction of where you should go. And then it's not always clear which direction I'm supposed to go in, so I kind of have to poke around a little bit. And then the QuickTime events are actually much more difficult in this game because what you have to do is watch where Jodie's body is moving, and that's the direction you're supposed to go in. But they don't exactly make that clear. So I fucked up a lot of QuickTime events before I figured that out.
Yes.
But yeah, so there's no like the on-screen buttons and everything. That's all gone. I thought it was interesting. It looks like they were going for something very different here. And then they sort of kind of reverted back to the way they did it with Heavy Rain in Detroit Become Human. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe people weren't as receptive to the way that the UI was handled in this game, but I kind of enjoy it for being the different experience that it was. And this being the first Quantic Dream game I played out of the three, it actually was really interesting. I love how in the free roam segments, generally you can choose to switch to Aiden at any point and control as him. So that gives you an opportunity to take to approach chapters in a different way. Because if you decided to use Aiden when you weren't necessarily prompted to, or you didn't have to, then you might go out and notice something, disable a camera, thus allowing you to rob a grocery store and not get caught for it,
Yes.
which can definitely change the way that the story flows. Of course, that being said, because the story is told out of order, I think a lot of things are set in stone, but it's interesting how much was able to be changed by player choice, even with the story being out of order. They deliberately picked, what order certain sequences were going to take place in so that you could have that branching storyline. Like we said before, I think the endings remain pretty much the same no matter what. But I think there's a different trophy for I think there's about 5 different NPCs that you're able to let die or live during the game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 5 or 6. And I think another thing, I was thinking about how you're talking about the camera angle with Aiden. For me, in when I initially played this game, I kind of chopped it up to just Aiden's perspective. So a lot of people complained about, how the camera angles were. Sometimes the quick time events were just kind of weird, especially when you're playing as Aiden. But you got to think Aiden's an entity; he's not human. So if you put it in that perspective and you think I'm an entity and I don't quite know what I'm doing, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. It makes it a little bit more cohesive because it's I didn't ever want he wants to do things his way, and that's why he will fuck with Jody. He's no, I want you to listen to me. I need you to listen to me, or you need to do this, and you don't. He's Jody, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
It makes its own experience, and I agree with you. My first playthrough, I didn't really play as Aiden too much in those free roam times. But in later playthroughs, because I played this game a few times, just trying to get different endings, get different feels. I have done a Ryan ending, I've done a Jay ending, and I've done a Zoe ending. Which I mean for me was the most satisfying because I love Zoe. She's adorable. So for me being able to play as Aiden a little bit later kind of gives me more feel for his character, because at first I'm just oh, it's a ghost, whatever, and now I'm oh, Aiden, yes, poor baby, oh my god.
Yeah, I agree, and I love that you could even approach situations differently depending on if you picked Aiden, because you could in some of the more combat types chapters, or more action-oriented chapters, I should say, you can approach situations either stealthily or through direct combat, and a lot of that is attributed to how you can use Aiden and how you can manipulate different characters. Using Aiden, you're able to, sometimes you'll have the prompt to just straight up choke someone out and kill them, or you can possess someone and force them to kill their comrades or whatever. And that's really nice. That does allow you to approach situations from different angles. So if you decided to kind of go out of your way and decide to use Aiden, you actually had some additional advantages and ways that you could approach something, and it also acts as kind of an interesting scope. I love how when the perspective switches to Aiden, you get to see the full image as as he sees the world. Everything's in different colors, and you've got this tether to Jody. So yeah, you can constantly see where you are in relation to her, which actually does help at a particular point in the game. The other thing was cool is that I heard that whenever Aiden moves too far away from Jody, too far away from the tether, it causes extreme pain for her. And so that's kind of represented by the game, sort of just the image going out, you being blocked, and they're just getting this vibrating sensation. And you're okay, I'm out of bounds. So there's kind of an explanation as to that. You can't always pull out Aiden, but it's interesting too, because if you decide to do it, if you hit triangle during a part in the game where you think that you would be able to, you'll hear Jody say, "Not now, Aiden." I want to do this myself. Or I thought that was really cool. One thing that was also kind of interesting too, a decision that you can make depending on whether or not you decide to pull out Aiden, is your last meeting with your adoptive parents. You can choose to choke out the father. And in my first playthrough, I did in fact choke him out. So I felt bad about it and I stopped it, but I had to do it. Because fuck that guy, man. Also, fuck Ryan. I don't like that guy. I know I said that already, but yeah, he's a douche.
He is a dickhead, though.
And fuck
He's
her
a
dad.
dickhead, for sure.
Her adoptive dad. I actually liked Nathan. It broke my heart in the end to kind of see him become the antagonist, because
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe delivered a fantastic performance. I mean, obviously, when I see him, I'm thinking Green Goblin. By the way, so excited to see him in No Way Home. I know.
Ugh, yes.
Yeah, that you heard that Dafoe laugh in the trailer, and I think it's been confirmed he is in the movie. Also, Toby and Andrew are in it, and Andrew's lying that he's not in it. It's so obvious that deep fake video was fake. It wasn't a deep fake. Like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in No Way Home. They totally are. Anyway,
Yes.
going off on a tangent here.
I found you by the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. Was there an accident? Did someone try to hurt you? Is that a scar? Is that recent?
I know. They're coming. Ever since I was born, I've been linked to an entity. His name is Aiden, and he's always with me.
We can find a way to protect you. The agency wants you to join their military school program.
Come on! Haven't got all day!
They know what you and Aiden can do.
Watch yourself out there, Jody. I don't want anything to happen to you. Just say nothing, you hear me?
Something happened last night, but they know only you know how to deal with what lies beyond the rift.
They've opened a passage to Aiden's world?
Good God, Jody, what's happening?
I don't think I'm gonna make it.
That's her! That's her! She's getting away!
Jody, what have you done?
Tell them to leave me the fuck alone, because next time, I'll kill everyone.
But yeah, Dafoe is just really portrays this very compelling character, and it's interesting to find out, just how corrupted this character has been, and for how long has he been this way. When you ultimately find out, what he's been up to and what he's trying to do. But then in the end, I was able to, I was able to make the right decisions that calmed him down and kind of led to him getting that redemption and getting to be with his family again. And I really enjoyed that there's that moment, and then Jody kind of says, he found what he was looking for. And I think that's so important, and that wraps everything up. The relationship between Jody and Nathan is just really interesting. The relationship between her and Cole, I love Cole so much. He's such a sweet guy.
Cole. Cole is the best.
I know. Even though you possess him and take advantage of him and force him to take you to a bar and get in trouble, he still loves you and has your back 100%.
He's like, whatever, Jody. He's like, God dang it.
I mean, he's like the fun uncle that, she just had this totally fun relationship with. With Nathan obviously fulfilling kind of that father role, because she needed a parents and he lost his wife and child. So, they kind of formed this father-daughter relationship. So, and that just makes it all the more heart-wrenching at the end,
Yeah, it really does, though, especially because, it's very hard for Jody to have a connection to people, especially because a lot of people don't understand Aiden. So when they finally do and she gets that connection, it's hard for her to sever that, because she's Jody and she's so loving, even though she tries really not to be.
Right, exactly. Jody's just such a cool character. I really enjoyed playing as her. I enjoyed kind of experiencing her story. Again, the Navajo section in particular is just really, really interesting. I love how they kind of sort of hint at this more expansive universe where, okay, well, now if we've accepted that spirits exist, were the Native Americans, was their religion a part of this? And, it's kind of left up in the air, but obviously some spirit shit is going down. I didn't realize you could save Paul. Paul died on my playthrough, so that sucks. I wish I knew I could have saved him, but I did get the ritual right.
Yes. And that's one thing, especially because like I remember that Supernatural, of course, it's always been a very, very popular show, but it was starting to gain in popularity on Tumblr and shit at this time. And it gave me a lot of Supernatural vibes, which I would love like a game like this where it's like, you have like a spiritual tie and you're trying to figure out how to, handle other spirits and stuff. That's just me, daydreaming, of course, but I really love the way that they handle like another spirit. It's like it's not just like it's not like Aiden and the spirit just go and have a fist fight. It's like she actually figures out how to take care of it herself. But I would love to see an expansion of that, like how they could, take care of spirits together, like Ghostbusters, but with a tether, and she is secretly the ghost. But whatever.
Well, I mean, she is a secret agent, and she is this badass like has this badass ghost entity with her all the time. I liked the segments where you could like break apart the other ghosts. That was cool.
Oh yeah, that one's fun.
The Infraworld, I think. Infraworld. Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah. So I love the supernatural aspect of this game and the whole fantasy aspect. It's kind of interesting because yeah, like with Heavy Rain, you've got just kind of a realistic setting. Detroit Become Human is obviously sci-fi, futuristic, and then here we have this supernatural / fantasy kind of story, and I think that that's really cool.
There's another storytelling series that kind of is reminiscent of this, that my brother played on Twitch, and I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me. But it was like a couple part series, and it was really, really good, and I watched him play it. And Quantic Dream is kind of reminiscent of that. They go into a lot of different aspects, and they went into three completely different degrees of gaming, and still somehow managed to make them their own by putting their own Quantic Dream tie on them, which is really cool. And I love the way that they deal with a lot of the big spiritual questions
Yeah.
that I feel like Jodie would have. It's like, how does she feel about like the presence of God, and this tie to Aiden? How does that work for her? How does she feel about other spirits in general? Is it more of a malicious thing for her, or more of a saving people thing for her? They deal with a lot of big questions in such a I'm trying to think of the word, but like a very graceful way, I guess I should say. Um which of course is enjoyable for me now, especially with everything going on in the world, with everybody's just opinions everywhere. Opinions are like assholes, everybody has one. It's interesting to see how they've not really changed and listened to other people's opinions over time. You go from 2010, which is Heavy Rain, to this in 2013, and then 5 years later, 2018, we get Detroit Become Human, and they just really managed to make these games very dynamic in their own way without taking the advice of other people's opinions, which is just dope. I love that.
I would like to see what Quantic Dream will do on the PS5. On the next generation of consoles would be really dope to see. I would honestly be interested in that. But yeah, I think that they really definitely are strong at interactive storytelling type games. Other than the 3 games that we've mentioned, I haven't played either of the other 2 games. What is it? Nomad Soul and Fahrenheit. The Nomad Soul and Fahrenheit. I don't know if those are the same type of games. I think not. I think that they're... But there is elements of, okay, the player making decisions to alter the narrative. So that's cool, yeah. So, and evidently... I mean, it looks like they haven't released very many games, which means that they're spending their time on these, and they're really crafting an experience. Obviously, you have a much more linear type of game, but in the fact that, there are so many branching narratives, I think, makes it not... It's where it's linear in one sense, and it's not open world, obviously, it's completely open-ended in another sense, in the sense of story, because literally, anything can happen, and then the story can end in any way. So the fact that they do interactive storytelling as a video game so well suggests to me that they're also just good at telling stories,
Yes, they do have one that's to be announced. I know they've released the title for it. It's called Dustborn. It's supposed to be an action kind of indie adventure game. Not much has been known about it yet. I don't even think it has a Wikipedia page yet, as far as I know. But it's supposed to be really, really good. And Quantic Dream has done well with its past couple of games, so I'm hoping that we get something good out of them. Um, I know that I've talked about this before, but this when you asked me in 2016, 2017 what my top 5 games are, this is going to be one of them, along with of course my Zelda games and Skyrim, but this one is up there during that time period just because it's so rich with, there's different types of lore that they kind of get into. There's different cultures. There's so many different aspects to this game. It's not linear like a lot of the games that I've played in the beginning. Skyrim is its own, Mass Effect is its own,
Right.
and it's a little bit of its own field. There's not a lot of games like this. You've got, of course, later on, and you can feel the inspiration even just in the title. Behind you, Ash, you can see that bluish kind of aura behind you. There's a lot of that, and this really influenced a lot of the game things like Until Dawn, where you get this interactive storytelling, which is a lot more prevalent now. But I feel like this is one of the beginning games that made it very eloquent, and made it, a desirable type of gaming style, because it's not just choose your own adventure, it's not just a book. Now it's like you get to be this character, you get to delve yourself into it, watch the cinematic experience, and also choose what you want to do, because not every game has to be linear, and I love that.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I agree. I think that it's a very, very well directed story. And I'm kind of trying to figure out how you can judge gameplay, but it's interesting enough that I could continue playing this for hours. Like I was constantly invested in the game every time that I played it. I also wanted to point out that evidently, Quantic Dream is going to be doing a director's cut of Sea of Solitude on the Switch, and then they're doing
Oh,
Dustborn.
yes.
you know.
Yes.
So that's just interesting to point out. I hadn't been aware that I hadn't been aware of any future projects of them. Yeah, and I'd definitely love to see what they're going to do on the next generation of consoles, because Detroit Become Human was fantastic. And then that one is a little bit newer than this one. And this game, of course, is great. I think that the quality really shines through. I mean, the writing maybe could be a little bit better, but I don't have
For
too many.
today's standards, it's cheesy, but like back
Yeah.
then when drama was like the biggest thing, like Vine and all of that, like you got to think like this is that time
Yeah.
era. For that, it's fantastic.
This is definitely reminiscent of a TV show that you might have watched in 2013, to be honest with
Exactly.
you. You know?
Exactly. Like the first season of The 100 and the Vampire Diaries and all of those, like teen dramas. It's very reminiscent of that. And then as as they age, they got better. But this one, it's an unfortunate thing for games that they get stuck in a time period. But for its time, it's very good. And for me, I don't know what it is about the graphics of this game. It's kind of like Twilight Princess for me. For Twilight Princess, I could still load into that game and it's stunning. This game, same thing. You get into this game, the graphics are just there, and you can tell that they took their time making every blade of grass, and it's just so for me, because I'm really big on soundtracks for games, and I do have some of the games for the games some of the songs for this gaming soundtrack in my playlist roster. And I do have a lot of screenshots on my PlayStation of this game, because it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Quantic Dream is really good at making pretty games, from what I've heard of Detroit Become Human. I've heard that it's a very pretty game as well.
It is, and it has homeboy Jackson Avery from Grey's Anatomy in it. That's what I
That's one
remember.
show I just can't get into. Can't get into that
I had an
shit.
ex that I watched it a lot with, and we got up to like season 12 or something. After a bit of time, I just kind of got tired of like how much shit they were dragging these characters through, like constantly all the time, and how many people were like breaking up and getting with other people. It was like, who could match up with who?
Falling out of an airplane, getting hit by a train, then rolling a car, and then like being like electrocuted. It's like, Jesus Christ, what are you doing to this woman?
Yes.
Like I
yes.
know that I don't know that any of these happened, happen, but like I'm just theorizing here. I don't know. I am not one of the females that watches Grey's Anatomy. I'm sorry guys, I am in the medical field, but for me personally, the medical show I'm gonna watch is Chicago Med.
Okay.
Oh my god. Because Chicago PD is fire, Chicago Fire is literally fire, and Chicago Med is the most medically accurate show I've seen thus far, and it's so good. I know I'm branching out a little bit from video games here, but guys, I'm just saying you gotta watch it. I just found it like 2 months ago, and I'm on season 4 right now. It's lit. I watch things like this when I'm not gaming, and it's so worth it. So worth it.
We need to start a collateral streaming TV podcast. That's got to happen at some point. Maybe when we quit our day jobs and can just get paid from the podcast. That'd be nice.
Right. Just talk about Marvel and theorize all day.
Subscribe to our Patreon. If you were wondering if we had a Patreon, we do. Actually, if you were thinking, hey man, I love this podcast so much, I want to go donate to them right now. And you were thinking, man, I just wish I knew where to find them on Patreon. Just look up Collateral Gaming on Patreon. We're on there. I think it's patreon.com/cgamingpodcast if I'm not mistaken. Just go donate right now because we could use it. We want to quit our day jobs and just focus solely on this. That would be a dream come true.
That would be fun. I unfortunately I only recorded one episode for the Mass Effect. I know that I've talked about that, but Alan and I are moving. So unpacking a lot of that stuff right now is not in the cards because I move in 2 weeks, and I really don't want to unpack any more than I have to, or pack any more than I have to.
Hey, if you film one episode, let's get that out. Send that to me.
Yeah, that's true. I'd have to find it.
Or I can
on
give
my
you
camera.
access to the YouTube channel or whatever. Yeah, we could use that. But yeah, guys, I mean, we also have our Patreon. We have Let's Play video game commentaries, so go check that out. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. One last thing I definitely wanted to touch on, if there's nothing else that we want to touch on this game, is the whole twist that, in fact, Aiden was her stillborn twin brother.
Yes.
And that's seeded, I think, throughout the game. I think I kind of feel like I knew before that happened, because I remember when the reveal happened and I was like, well, yeah, that's what he is. And then I was like, wait, hold on a second. They never said that that's what he is. But that totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The whole tether, very Death Stranding.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I feel like this game was a little bit of an inspiration for that, to be honest with you. But yeah, this game, I mean, there's a lot going on with it, but there's also just a lot that it's like you have to experience it for yourself kind of thing. We could talk about our theorized endings and things like that all day, but it's one of those games that, it is on PlayStation Plus. It is worth picking up if you're interested in it. Especially if we're going to go into another lockdown. I know I've heard that that's a rumor. No, thank you, please. If that's, the case, then, it's definitely worth picking up.
Yeah, for sure. I had a lot of fun with this game. Do you have any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I think that Elliot Page and Willem Dafoe did such a good job, and just in their aspect alone, I think that it's worth playing this game. It's got lots of good graphics. It's got a very cohesive story. Keep in mind this game does come from 2013, so it does have a little bit of cheesiness to it. But for its time period, it was very dramatic. It was very intense, and there are some aspects where it does break through out of that time period, and it does have its own special storytelling style, which is just worth it just for that. You can pick up the trilogy, which has Heavy Rain, as well as Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit Become Human. They're all very, very good games. It's a good way to get out of the normal things that you're playing and get into something that you're just completely left fielded about. You never know where it's going to go. You never know which way it's going to head. And I love that. And it's a good one to add to your roster of games to play. If IMDb had like a gaming version, this would be one that's in like the top 100, like you need to play kind of thing.
Yeah, last I checked, this is on PlayStation Now. I'm pretty sure. I don't know about the other two, but I picked up all three of the games together on Amazon. I ordered them on Amazon, and they were. I had like an Amazon gift card or whatever. I usually buy digital, but no, I got all three games together, the PS4 versions, so the PS4 remasters of both Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, plus Detroit Become Human. altogether, and I think I paid a pretty reasonable price for it. I think it was only like $60. I want to say for all three of them, but I could be wrong. Anyway, yeah, it's out there. You can play them. That's for my closing thoughts. I think that it's a fantastic game within the genre that it operates in. I think it's a fantastic game overall. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm actually replaying it, and I'm going through the remixed version of the story and making different decisions. I guess this time I might give Ryan a shot, but just to see how it goes. I don't know. Maybe I kind of enjoy the whole like go with Zoe ending more though, because I've got a daughter and I like that. I don't know, but yeah, I think it's an overall fantastic game. Definitely a fun, interactive story type game. The performances by Elliot Page and Willem Dafoe are fantastic. The other performances are great. The writing is good. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. And I like that the game keeps you on your toes, and you can kill a few characters off if you're not paying attention. You can't die if you miss some quick time events, which is good. You can't die, at least as far as I know, but you can. Other characters can die, which is a little less stressful than Until Dawn was.
Yes.
Because literally anybody could die. Everybody could die in Until Dawn. So.
Yeah, you can fuck up that bad in that game.
Yeah, but yeah, and I think either of the two endings. I mean, there really isn't a bad ending. Either of the two endings. I mean, either you think she lives or she dies, but you can go and decide to be alive and be with Jay or Ryan or Zoe or by yourself because you're a strong, independent woman that does not need a man, or you can go beyond. Like
Yes.
in Click when there's Bed Bath and Beyond and they go beyond.
Yeah, it's like finding out Victoria's Secret, man.
But yeah, no. If you I think if you let everybody die that you were able to let live, and you go beyond, there's a trophy for that.
There is,
because you get to be with like all of your loved ones together in like this infinite paradise where you can be wherever the fuck you want to be. Like, it's actually kind of a good ending, and that's supposed to be the bad ending. I think there isn't one. That's what I'm trying to say. So I think that this game is a lot of fun. I honestly think that it would be it's really good as kind of a mental health type game, to be honest with you. I mean, despite the what happens in the story, but I think for instance, the depiction of sexual assault, like we mentioned earlier, that's very raw. It happens. It's something that is an issue that happens in real life, and it's definitely portrayed realistically and respectfully. And so I think overall, this game is a very good mental health game.
I agree 100%. I think that it's good that they take a topic that is hard to talk about, and they talked about it. It's very hard to get a kind of respect for something like that.
I think they got some criticism for that, but I don't think that that's warranted, because it wasn't something that was shrugged off. Like, it was treated, realistically and respectfully, and it has a major impact on Jodie's character. But yeah, overall, I mean, I thought it was a great game. Honestly, I really did. I had a lot of fun with it. We're the season finale type game. Next time, guys, we're going to be talking about Heavy Rain. That's going to be part 2 of our season finale of season 3. And I'm looking forward to that. Heavy Rain, I'm thinking of a lot of things to talk about. There are things that I like that Heavy Rain does better than this game. But overall, I mean, I think this game has the better quality. So, but we'll talk more about that next time. At some point, I think this month, Detroit Become Human. And then our season finale is coming out in October. Stay tuned for part 2 so that you can find out what we're going to be talking about. Hint, it rhymes with Retroid.
Retroid.
Retroid bread.
Bread. Broad.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Retroid bread.
Roid Rage Broad.
But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or feedback on your platform of choice. You can find Collateral Gaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. As mentioned previously, please go support us on Patreon. We have exclusive Let's Play video game commentaries there and more to come out. Kind of just whatever in my free time, I usually will upload an episode, and we have a ton planned. So, and in fact, I may want to do one of the Quantic Dream games as a... yeah, I'm thinking about it. So, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it that we had for this part. Bo, since you're here, you wanna talk about Collateral Cinema? A little plug, Collateral Cinema Season 5.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Season 5 coming up in October. We are starting with Necromantic, the Jorg Buttgereit transgressive classic, and then we are going to be joined by Stu from Stu World Order to talk about Scream. So, yeah, check it out. The spooky season is upon us, and we look forward to having you join us.
Yes, good.
Hell yeah. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned. Collateral Cinema, we just did a director's cut on the Tales from the Crypt series. That was a lot of fun. I think we're going to be celebrating Adult Swim very soon here.
Yes, exactly. We're going to be celebrating the 20th anniversary of Adult Swim. I'm looking forward to this episode because I am very, very passionate about Adult Swim, and I have a lot of love for this franchise and for all the shows that was released by them. So, yeah, look for that very soon.
Fuck
God,
yeah,
I can't
man.
believe they're gonna be 20 years old. I love Adult Swim.
I know. We've been watching the shit out of home movies and Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
God.
We're going to watch C-Lab here in a little bit.
Fuck yeah. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for our episode on Heavy Rain. That being said, I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And I'm Megan Gomez.
We are Collateral Gaming, and we are out.
Peace.
Media Podcast. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.